I'm Priyanka, and today we are going to talk about navigating choppy water. It means we are going to have some conversation on managing difficult conversation. So, all of you, I want to tell you that we need to talk. Yes, you heard me. We need to talk. So, when somebody tells you this, how do you feel? I feel personally confused, curious, sometimes anxious. At times, my heart starts thumping and whatnot. And do you think is it a right approach to begin any difficult conversation? Over the years, I have realized telling someone we need to talk or I need to talk to you is the worst way to begin the conversation. Many people can tell you that these phrases will instantly set them into the panic attack or a panic mode. So, there comes a point in everyone's life that they have to share or convey, which might not in the favor of other persons, or it's not going to be, easy to accept for the other person. However, communication is only essential and absolute way sometimes we have to opt for. So I am talking I'm going to talk about a very basic example and which is very common also. So one of your team member, for example, consistently underperforming and missing the deadlines. Okay. However, it was not the case earlier. That employee is qualified, highly skilled, was always on time in the office, worked well under pressure. But then what happened? Why that employee started missing the deadlines? But management has decided to keep him under pressure, under performance, and not to give him any increment, because all this feedback, like this behavior of that employee, is actually hampering the outcome or the process of entire team. And you being the manager have to convey this to that employee. Now here comes a question: what to do and how to go about it? So this is going to be a tough for a manager to convey. Now manager had to call that employee and talk about the situation. The manager begins with, I need to talk to you. We need to talk. And here comes a point where the other employee started taking doubts on themselves. So I need to all of you to think that the person you are going to have a difficult conversation, or you are having a difficult conversation. Okay, how you are going to start? So first of all, stop and retrospect first the situation before they begin the conversation. Whether you are the manager or a husband or a wife, mother, father, we all will agree that one conversation can change everything. So you need to think about that situation. There might be something that is holding that employee back to accomplish the targets, or there might be the one conversation away to accomplish that thing. And not having that one conversation that they need to have, which is impacting their performances. So we are not having the difficult conversation that we should have, because sometimes we are afraid that conversing this may take things worse. Also, having poor conversation is even bad for that. if the conversation is not complete or not conveyed properly, obviously it will not have a better impact on that employee. So, very first thing, remember, even a smallest thing issue, because if you don't notice, if it gets unnoticed, then it might lead to the constraint and the frustration, and it might close the door of the conversation even before the opening the conversation. So many of us work in teams wherein we need to communicate, we need to converse, we have to be in touch with each other every time. We have to take some difficult decisions, and in order to take the difficult situation, sometimes you might have to take the difficult calls and conversation. So, so all of us goes under this phase wherein you have to take the tough conversation. So we have to take this conversation seriously. We cannot avoid this conversation, otherwise it will at the end impact the outcome. Leading a difficult conversation can set the tone for the entire discussion. This will might make the people around you successful, happy, satisfied, and having successful people around you definitely will make your job even easier. So, what we can do to lead the difficult conversation, to start the difficult conversation? So, probably you can start to show a willingness to find a solution and move towards a conflict. See, finding the conflict is the way to deep dive to find the solution. Okay, so I know it's difficult to find the root cause, find the move towards the conflict, but that is the way to lead towards the solution. Practice active listening. Pretend that you know nothing about the situation. So, giving the other person your full attention and demonstration that you are actively listening is giving the opportunity and space to other person to speak out. Asking clarifying question when needed, and avoid interrupting. Genuinely try to understand their perspective. What next you can do is stay calm, composed, and quiet. See, difficult conversation sometimes becomes emotional, intense. Sometimes another person becomes upset or confrontational. So don't panic, do not interrupt, otherwise they will lose their confidence. They will lose that confidence, and they might not share which they are going to share with you. So take a deep breath, maintain the neutral tone, try to stir the conversation back to the constructive path. Now, so sometimes a person just wants to heard by somebody. So don't be in a rush to resolve the solution immediately. Allow them to be in that moment. Let them know it's okay to feel miserable. Let them know it's okay to fail. Let them know it's okay to feel angry, conscious. Let them know it's okay to feel vulnerable. Okay, and just let them know that it's okay, and you are there to hear them. You will do soon, like what will you do soon after hearing them? Like, will you go immediately and come to the conclusion? Maybe you need not to. But first, acknowledge them. Let them know that you heard them, understood them. Validate their feelings. Use emotional intelligence to manage your own emotion also. No matter how much is the bad situation, we need the other person to speak. I am sure you all must be agree. We need the other person to speak, to allow yourself. So for that, you have to allow yourself to take the time to understand the issue, your own emotions and biases related to the conversation. Reflect on your goals and set the positive mindset. Like, just do not go with the mindset that you have already concluded the situation. Don't go with that. Just have a positive mindset, and the mindset that something you are responsible for that situation to resolve. Anticipate potential challenges and plan your approach accordingly. Now, what you can do next is shift the conversation towards finding the solutions. Do not dwell much on the problems. Otherwise, the person will get the feeling of the interrogation, and it will suppress the constructive conversation. Brainstorm together, consider different options, discuss the potential compromises and alternative approaches, focus on the future, and explore more ways to prevail the similar issues in the future. Now, when a person is opening up to you and you're having a good conversation, there are the chances that the person might feel underconfident. It might lose its confidence. So motivate a little bit if required. Summarize the key points after the discussion is important. So just discuss like what all things you have discussed, their expectations. If you have done some kind of the agreement, you know, just draw that conversations and that agreement. Start the action if required. Fast forward those actions. Follow up after the conversation to ensure the accountability and keep the lines of the communication always open. The last but not the least, keep the conversation under wrap. The person might not want others to know this conversation, so you have to keep this integrity at top. Remember, managing difficult conversation requires patience, active listening, empathy, willingness to find the resolution. So by maintaining calm, respectful demeanor, you can increase the chances of the productive and positive outcome. So that's all I want to talk about this topic. Thank you for hearing me, and let me know your feedback on the same. Thank you so much.